She is the undisputed powerhouse of the Marvel Universe. The moment she appears, she shatters Thor's Mjolnir with ease. Even Loki, upon seeing her, is so terrified that he flees in panic. And yet, this alluring, stunningly beautiful goddess of death with a fiery figure turns out to be Thor's elder sister, Hela. This is the setup for the family drama comedy in the Marvel Universe, Thor, Ragnarok. When I first watched this movie, I didn't have high expectations. To my surprise, it delivered plenty of delightful surprises. Thor, Ragnarok is the funniest Marvel movie I've seen, and the story is also very exciting. In Avengers, Age of Ultron, Thor fell under Wanda's spell. In the vision, Thor beheld the ominous events of Ragnarok. This so-called Ragnarok represented the destruction of his home planet, Asgard, the demise of all gods, and the complete annihilation of his people. In an attempt to uncover the cause of Ragnarok and prevent its arrival, Thor left Earth. This is also why he wasn't involved in the Avengers Civil War. Thor searched every corner of the universe but found no clues. On his way, he was captured by Surtur. Over 500,000 years ago, Odin, the All-Father, had defeated Surtur with his supreme power and seized the eternal flame, the source of Surtur's immense strength. Without the eternal flame, Surtur's power was significantly diminished. During Thor's confrontation with Surtur, the fire demon declared that he would destroy Asgard and that he himself was the harbinger of Ragnarok.
When my crown is reunited with the eternal flame, I shall be restored to my full might. I will tower over the mountains and bury my sword deep in Asgard.
Hang on. Give it a second. I swear, I'm not even moving, it's just doing this on its own. I'm really sorry.
Thor mistakenly believed that eliminating Surtur would prevent the arrival of Ragnarok. However, before he could act, Surtur preemptively launched a fierce attack on him. Thor swiftly summoned his legendary weapon, Mjolnir. With Mjolnir in hand,
You have made a grave mistake, Odin's son.
I make grave mistakes all the time. Everything seems to work out.
Thor seemed like a war god incarnate. He unleashed a series of masterfully destructive attacks, and with every swing of Mjolnir, his enemies were scattered like leaves in a storm. Utterly powerless against his might, Thor followed up with a powerful explosive attack, its overwhelming energy devastating his foes in an instant. Seeing the situation turn dire, Surtur brandished his sword of flame in a desperate attempt to counterattack, but Thor showed no signs of retreat. He charged forward boldly, Mjolnir in hand, clashing directly with Surtur. With a series of precise and masterful moves, he caught Surtur off guard. In the end, Thor struck Surtur's crown with a thunderous blow, bringing him down with incredible force. Thor hoisted Surtur's crown onto his shoulder and raised Mjolnir, summoning the Bifrost Bridge to make his escape. Yet, he received no response. It turned out that Heimdall had been exiled by Odin, and the Bifrost was now under the watch of Scourge, who was too preoccupied with flirting to notice Thor's call. Thor grew increasingly anxious as he waited for the Bifrost Bridge. In this critical moment, a fiery dragon burst from the ground, its massive jaws opening wide as it prepared to devour Thor whole. In the nick of time, Thor jammed Mjolnir into the dragon's mouth, instantly extinguishing its fiery arrogance. However, as more enemies began to surround him like an unstoppable tide, Thor had no choice but to retrieve Mjolnir and make a desperate run for it. Just as Thor was on the brink of disaster, the Bifrost Bridge finally appeared. Thor successfully returned to Asgard, bringing the severed head of the fiery dragon with him as a trophy. Thor asked Scourge in confusion, "Where is Heimdall?"
That traitor, well, no one knows. He's a fugitive of the throne.
Traitor.
Yeah, well, you see, Odin charged Heimdall with negligence of duty, but he disappeared before the trial. Hard to catch a guy who can see everything in the universe.
Sure.
Hold on. I'm supposed to announce your arrival.
What shocked Thor even more was the sight of a massive statue of Loki at the gates of Asgard. Odin seemed to have lost his former dignity and was now indulging in wine, leisurely watching a play unfold on the stage. Thor's sharp eyes quickly saw through Loki's charade. The Odin standing before him was actually Loki in disguise. Under Thor's relentless questioning, Loki finally confessed the truth. He had exiled Odin to a nursing home on Earth, but when they rushed to Earth, they were met with a shocking sight. The nursing home had been reduced to rubble. Thor was furious, his anger blazing like a storm. He had once thought his troublemaking brother had perished, even mourning Loki's death with genuine sorrow, only to now realize it was all part of Loki's deceitful schemes, and Loki's face actually had an inexplicable trace of happiness. At that moment, a mysterious glowing circle appeared at Loki's feet. The next second, Loki vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a business card on the ground. Following the address on the card, Thor arrived at the home of none other than Doctor Strange. Stephen Strange himself.
Sworth has wizards now.
The preferred term is Master of the Mystic Arts. You can leave that now.
All right, wizard. Who are you? Why should I care?
My name is Dr. Stephen Strange, and I have some questions for you.
Stephen asked why Thor and Loki had appeared on Earth. Given that Loki had long been blacklisted in the mystical community, Thor explained their purpose. They were searching for his father, Odin. After learning Thor's purpose, Stephen confidently assured him that it was merely a small matter. With a wave of his hand, Stephen conjured a portal, pointing out that Odin was on the other side. Thor then inquired about Loki's whereabouts. With a casual wave of his hand, Stephen made Loki suddenly drop from out of nowhere.
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
Yes.
You can handle it from here.
Thank you very much for your help.
Humiliated and enraged, Loki, who had never been subjected to such indignity, immediately drew a dagger and prepared to fight Stephen. With another nonchalant gesture, he teleported Thor and Loki directly to Odin's location. Odin seemed to have known in advance that they would come here. Aware that his end was near, Odin solemnly informed Thor that Ragnarok was inevitable. Thor hastily explained that he had already stopped Ragnarok by subduing Surtur, but Odin shook his head with a deep sigh. "She is coming," he said gravely. The she Odin referred to was none other than his eldest daughter, the fearsome goddess of death, Hela. Odin had once sealed and imprisoned Hela, but now, with his life nearing its end, Hela's prison would soon crumble. Hela's power was drawn from Asgard itself. As long as she stood on Asgardian soil, she could draw limitless energy. No sooner had Odin spoken these words than he peacefully passed away. Grief-stricken and enraged, Thor blamed Loki for all of this chaos. He prepared to teach his mischievous brother a lesson when suddenly, a mysterious green light flashed across the sky. In an instant, both brothers transformed, donning their full battle armor. Emerging slowly from the radiant light was their sister, Hela. Hela's oppressive aura was so palpable that it sent shivers down Thor and Loki's spines.
I'm Thor, son of Odin. You must be Hela.
Really? You don't look like him.
Perhaps we can come to an arrangement.
You sound like him. Neil.
Beg your pardon.
Neil.
Overcome with rage, Thor could no longer hold back. He hurled his invincible Mjolnir at her, hoping to deliver a powerful blow. To his utter disbelief, Hela effortlessly caught Mjolnir with one hand. Hela's strength is truly terrifying. Not only did she easily stop Mjolnir, but with a slight exertion of force, she crushed the legendary weapon into pieces. Realizing the dire situation, Loki hastily summoned the Bifrost Bridge, hoping to flee, but Hela was not about to let them escape so easily. Loki panicked and threw a flying knife, but Hela easily caught it. With a flick of her wrist, she sent Loki flying off the Bifrost Bridge like a broken kite. Thor tried to fight back, but the gap in power was too great. It didn't take long before Hela struck him down as well, sending him hurtling into the void. Hela then used the Bifrost Bridge to reach Asgard, where she immediately felt her powers surge to new heights. Two of Thor's loyal followers attempted to stop her but were swiftly killed in an instant. Witnessing this, Scourge quickly surrendered, dropping to his knees and pledging his loyalty to Hela. Scourge's tact and submission pleased Hela, so she took him as her follower. Hela summoned all the warriors of Asgard, declaring that Odin, Thor, and Loki were dead. She proclaimed herself the rightful heir to the throne and vowed to lead them in conquering all other realms. However, it was clear that none of the warriors were willing to submit to Hela. Determined to show them the true power of the goddess of death, Hela unleashed her wrath. She began a massacre, and the warriors of Asgard were like ants before her, utterly powerless. Even the warships sent to stop her were destroyed by Hela in an instant. Soon, the warriors of Asgard were slaughtered, their bodies strewn across the battlefield. Scourge was left standing, paralyzed with shock at the bloodshed before him.
Oh, I've missed this. Still, it's a shame. Good soldiers dying for nothing. All because they couldn't see the future. Sad. Oh, look, still alive. Change of heart?
Go back to whatever cave you crept out of. You evil demoness.
Afterward, Scourge led Hela to Odin's treasure vault. The vault housed treasures such as the Infinity Gauntlet, the Frost Giant's Casket of Ancient Winters, Surtur's Crown, and the Tesseract. Yet, None of these artifacts caught Hela's interest. Only the eternal flame sparked a glimmer of curiosity in her eyes. Hela leaped into the depths below, where she saw corpses lying all around. They were all followers who had once fought alongside her. Using the eternal flame, Hela unleashed her powerful magic to resurrect all of her fallen soldiers. Even her beloved pet, the giant wolf Fenris, was brought back to life, with her army of the dead at her command. Hela prepared to embark on a conquest of the realms, but she soon discovered that the Hofund, the guardian sword used to summon the Bifrost Bridge, was missing. It turned out that Heimdall had taken Hofund and led Asgard's remaining citizens into hiding in the mountains. Meanwhile, after being flung off the Bifrost Bridge, Thor crash-landed in a pile of garbage on the planet Sakar. There, he was ambushed and stunned by a mysterious woman who knocked him unconscious. The woman sold Thor to Sakar's ruler, the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster's greatest obsession was watching gladiatorial battles, for which he hosted countless tournaments. He informed Thor that he could regain his freedom by defeating the reigning champion. However, those who dared to disobey or attempted to escape suffered miserable fates. Thor, upon hearing this, felt a tinge of fear. As he turned around, he unexpectedly saw Loki, who seemed to be doing quite well on this planet. Thor's spirits lifted as if seeing a ray of hope in the darkness. Overjoyed, he implored Loki to help him escape. The Grandmaster, noticing Thor's excitement, asked Loki if he knew this man. Loki, however, denied it outright, claiming he had never seen this man before. Thor was then thrown into a cell, where he met Korg. The following day, before entering the arena, Thor was asked to choose a weapon. During this time, he once again encountered the mysterious woman. Noticing a Valkyrie insignia on her, it turned out that she was from Asgard and had once been part of the elite Valkyrie warrior group. Back then, the Valkyrie were sent by Odin to fight Hela, but her entire clan perished in the battle, leaving her as the sole survivor by sheer luck. Ever since, she had drowned herself in alcohol to forget the nightmare of that battle. Despite Thor's pleas for help, Valkyrie turned a deaf ear. She completely ignored Thor's reminder that the Valkyries had once sworn to defend the throne. Then they carefully crafted an entirely new look for Thor.
By Odin's beard, you shall not cut my hair, lest you feel the wrath of the mighty Thor. No!
Thus, Thor stepped onto the arena with his brand new look. Amidst the deafening cheers, his opponent was about to make their grand entrance. Thor, donning his helmet, stood ready for battle. As the doors slowly opened, his opponent turned out to be the long-missing Hulk, leaving him both shocked and thrilled. Loki, upon seeing Hulk, turned pale with fear. Hulk had left an indelible scar on his psyche. Panicked, Loki tried to flee, but the Grandmaster stopped him. Thor excitedly shouted at the Grandmaster,
We know each other! He's a friend from work!
Thor thought the match would be stopped, but his straightforward nature led him to call Hulk Banner. It's worth noting that the last person to call Hulk that name paid the price with an entire building. Furious, Hulk charged at Thor with his weapon. Although Thor dodged just in time, Hulk countered with a single strike that sent him flying dozens of meters. Realizing that Hulk showed no mercy, Thor decided to fight back. Hulk, full of momentum, charged again, destroying Thor's weapon in less than 2 rounds. He then kicked Thor hundreds of meters away, followed by a heavy blow. Thor yanked the hammer from the wall and gave the charging Hulk a fierce smash. This powerful explosion of force left everyone in the arena wide-eyed. Even the Grandmaster was secretly impressed by Thor's unexpected strength. Hulk was also a little dazed by this hammer. Cautiously, Thor approached Hulk, attempting to soothe him like Natasha once did, but in the next moment, Hulk grabbed Thor and gave him a vicious beating. Seeing this, Loki was elated, as the familiar scene brought back old memories. Realizing that Hulk had no intention of holding back, Thor decided to fight with everything he had. Grabbing the hammer, he ferociously pummeled Hulk and then smashed it onto his head. Before Hulk could react, Thor destroyed Hulk's weapon with a single strike. Just as Thor was about to deliver a fatal blow to Hulk, Hulk caught the hammer with one hand. It was evident that a fully enraged Hulk was not to be trifled with. With a single crushing punch, Hulk sent Thor flying once more, then entered a berserk mode, raining down a relentless barrage of blows on him. Unexpectedly, this brutal assault triggered Thor's latent ability. Thor's godly thunder power awakened instantly, and he landed a mighty punch that sent Hulk flying. At this moment, Thor had successfully transformed into the true god of thunder. Hulk rose to his feet, and the two locked eyes for a moment. Then, like two enraged bulls, they charged at each other with unstoppable force. This was the decisive moment that would determine the victor. Thor mustered all his strength and struck Hulk with a punch that left him sprawled on the ground. The crowd erupted in cheers, chanting Thor's name. Seeing his prized champion on the verge of defeat, the Grandmaster quickly pressed a button, electrocuting Thor into unconsciousness. Hulk leapt into the air and delivered a final, crushing blow, bringing the intense duel to an end. When Thor woke up again, he found himself in Hulk's quarters, where Hulk was leisurely soaking in a hot bath. Curious, Thor asked Hulk how he ended up here. Hulk gestured with his hands, explaining that he had arrived via the Quinjet. Hearing this, Thor eagerly asked where the jet was located. Hulk stepped out of the tub and pointed in its direction. Thor was overjoyed to see the jet and immediately tried to persuade Hulk to join him in returning to Asgard to stop Ragnarok. However, Hulk showed no interest in Thor's proposal. Thor then promised that if Hulk helped him, he would help Hulk return to Earth. But Hulk, knowing how much humans despised him, preferred the freedom he currently enjoyed. No matter how hard Thor tried to convince him, Hulk was unmoved and refused to go to Asgard. Left with no choice, Thor decided to leave this place on his own, but as soon as he reached the door, he was electrocuted into unconsciousness again. When Thor woke up, he contacted Heimdall via video to learn about the situation in Asgard. Heimdall informed him that Hela had taken control of Asgard and was growing stronger by absorbing its power. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before Hela consumed the 9 realms and possibly the entire universe. Finally, Heimdall told Thor that to leave Sakar, he would have to pass through the largest portal. At that moment, Valkyrie arrived, and Thor seized the opportunity to grab the control switch from her. Thor finally removed the nerve-paralyzing device that had been tormenting him. Now free, Thor was eager to leave. He attempted to break the glass by throwing a ball at it, but it didn't work. The scene became awkward for a moment. In desperation, Thor simply crashes through the glass and rushes out. Eventually, he found the Quinjet. Thor, confident as a member of the Avengers, thought starting the jet would be easy, but none of the commands worked. This turned out to be one of Thor's most embarrassing moments. Just as Thor was about to take off, Hulk suddenly barged in. Seeing the jet about to be destroyed, Thor frantically pressed buttons on the console, accidentally triggering a video of Natasha. Upon seeing Natasha after so long, Bruce's consciousness within Hulk began to resurface. After a brief internal struggle, Hulk finally reverted back to his human form as Bruce Banner.
You alright, Banner?
Since Avengers: Age of Ultron, Hulk had been in control of Bruce's body, leaving Bruce's memory stuck at that point in time. Suddenly, alarms blared. It turned out that the Grandmaster had discovered that his champion Hulk was missing, so Thor instantly became a wanted criminal. The Grandmaster ordered Loki and Valkyrie to capture Thor and bring him back. Loki and Valkyrie just walked out of the room and started fighting. It turned out Loki suspected Valkyrie of helping Thor escape. During the fight, Loki used his magic to make Valkyrie relive the devastating scene of her army being annihilated. Valkyrie snapped out of it, finally realizing her true mission. She then found Thor and decided to return to Asgard with him to defeat Hela. In high spirits, they even came up with a bold name for their team, the Revengers. However, to leave Sakar quickly, they would need a top-tier ship capable of navigating the wormhole. At this point, Loki mentioned that the Grandmaster had plenty of ships and that he also knew the security codes. They decided to split up, with Valkyrie heading to the cells to rescue the captives and successfully convincing them to rebel. Meanwhile, Thor and Loki took on the task of stealing a ship, arming themselves and swiftly eliminating any enemies in their path. But unexpectedly, Loki betrayed Thor once again. This time, however, Thor was prepared for it. In the end, they successfully piloted a ship off Sakar. At the same time, Hela was forcing the residents of Asgard to reveal the location of the sanctuary. But by the time she arrived, Heimdall had already led the residents toward the Bifrost Bridge. Thor also returned to Asgard, holding Odin's staff as he sat on the throne. When Hela confronted him, she revealed the truth about everything. Back when Odin was conquering the 9 realms, he plundered, burned, and killed without mercy. his hands stained with blood. Odin had even given Hela Mjolnir, making her his executioner and vanguard in their campaigns of expansion. But one day, Odin decided to become a benevolent ruler and gave up his ambitions. By then, Hela had become consumed by bloodlust and couldn't stop her rampage. Due to their ideological differences, Odin sealed Hela away. The siblings fought as soon as they disagreed, but Hela was really too strong. Even when wounded, her body instantly regenerated to perfect condition. It didn't take long for Thor to be defeated, losing an eye in the process. Now Thor looked almost identical to Odin. Meanwhile, on the Bifrost Bridge, Hela's giant wolf Fenris blocked Heimdall and the residents' path. Scourge and his forces cut off their retreat, with the wolf ahead and enemies behind. Was this the end for them? Bruce jumped from the spaceship, but the result was a bit embarrassing. Fenris sniffed him, seemingly startled, before charging forward again. Just as Heimdall prepared for a desperate stand, something yanked Fenris backward. It was Bruce, who had transformed back into the unstoppable Hulk. This move even left Valkyrie stunned. With a howl, Fenris lunged at Hulk. During their fight, both Hulk and Fenris fell off the Bifrost Bridge. Hela's forces began slaughtering innocent residents. Meanwhile, Heimdall was fighting valiantly, but just as it seemed he was about to lose his life, Korg arrived in time to save him. It turned out that Loki, piloting a luxurious ship, had returned with reinforcements. Everyone fought valiantly, buying time for the citizens to board the ship and escape. Meanwhile, Thor was being choked by Hela. Enduring her taunts, Thor was in critical condition at this moment. In a pivotal moment, Thor's latent powers were reawakened.
It's too strong. Without my hammer, I can't.
Are you Thor, the god of hammers? That hammer was to help you control your power, to focus it. It's never your source of strength.
It's too late. She's already taken Asgard.
Asgard is not a place. Never was. This could be Asgard. Asgard is where our people stand. Even now, right now, those people need your help.
The sky erupted with thunder and lightning, and Thor's godly power surged once more. With a single punch, Thor sent Hela flying. What followed was Thor's most heroic moment. Facing Hela's army of the dead, Thor unleashed a whirlwind of devastating attacks, clearing the battlefield in seconds with a flurry of powerful moves. At this point, Valkyrie made a dazzling entrance with fireworks, cutting down enemies with effortless precision. Meanwhile, Hulk and Hela's giant wolf Fenris were locked in an intense battle underwater, exchanging blows for what seemed like 300 rounds without a clear winner. Hulk lifted Fenris by the head and slammed it to the ground, but Fenris retaliated by biting him and dragging him into the water, using its razor-sharp fangs to pierce Hulk's body. Hulk, refusing to back down, summoned all his strength and sent Fenris flying. Fenris plummeted straight off the cliff. On the other side, Thor finished off the remaining enemies and hurried to regroup with Loki and Valkyrie. At that moment, Hela began approaching them slowly. Thor knew all too well that the longer Hela stayed in Asgard, the stronger she would become. Watching his people boarding the ship one by one, Thor realized he had no choice but to trigger Ragnarok. Only by destroying Asgard could they truly defeat Hela. Thor immediately instructed Loki to go to the treasure vault, find Surtur's crown, and place it into the eternal flame. Thor then charged forward to hold off Hela and buy Loki some time. Even with Valkyrie fighting alongside him, they were no match for Hela. Meanwhile, Loki arrived at the treasure vault and found Surtur's crown. While doing his job, he also steals the Tesseract. Elsewhere, Scourge had a sudden change of heart. To cover the escape of Asgard's people, he picked up a machine gun and eliminated the remaining soldiers, but he was ultimately pierced through the chest by Hela's sword. In the end, Scourge redeemed himself. Loki successfully placed Surtur's crown into the eternal flame. Amidst the roaring flames, the mighty fire giant, the ultimate king, emerged. Surtur, wielding the sword of flame, began the destruction of Asgard. Out of nowhere, Hulk, fearless as ever, charged straight at Surtur and unleashed a flurry of punches. Surtur grabbed Hulk and threw him to the ground with tremendous force. Hulk tried to get back up for another fight, but Thor quickly stopped him, leaving Hulk completely puzzled. Valkyrie yelled for Hulk to retreat, and Hulk grabbed Thor and Valkyrie before leaping onto the ship. As Asgard faced imminent destruction, Hela made a desperate attempt to stop Surtur, but even with her immense power, she was no match for Surtur. With a single mighty swing of his sword, Surtur ended Hela once and for all. Everyone watched helplessly as their homeland was destroyed, their hearts heavy with sorrow. In the end, Thor finally earned Loki's recognition. Under the gaze of all, Thor officially ascended to the throne. They decided to head to Earth and build a new Asgard there. But on their journey, they encountered Thanos' ship. It seems like things are getting dire. What will happen next? Let's wait in anticipation to find out.